G'day, today is Sunday, 6th of July 2025. Just driving to the usual shopping places. I'm at home, well, driving from home to the, just locally, just driving locally. So, anyway, just been watching the Chinese military channel updates just recently regarding their latest radar systems that I've just installed on their J-20 stealth fighter, which is it's the silicon carbide, which is an upgrade to the gallium nitride radar systems, extending the radar detections for their fighter jets, which is excellent in terms of having an extended range to counter the NATO AWACS, the airborne early warning and control systems, which Australia has the best airborne early warning and control aircraft, which is the E7 Wedgetail AWACS system, which is state-of-the-art, designed by Boeing 737. Australia has 6 AWACS, or airborne early warning and control aircrafts, with a range unsure. I think it's airborne, it's 650 kilometers range, detection range, and the Chinese are a bit concerned about that, and so they've built a particular missile to counter the Australian Wedgetail. Now, when you have the E7 Wedgetail, which is the best system, more advanced than the American E2 AWACS system and the E3 AWACS, which America are decommissioning them, and they're trying to procure the off-the-shelf purchases of the Australian and British Wedgetail, which is pretty good. Now, the gallium nitride radars that detect S and X bands, and in particular the L band spectrum of the radio spectrum. The Australian Wedgetail is awesome, and it can detect at the L band, which means it can detect stealth fighters such as the J-20 at a particular distance, up to 600 kilometers plus, which is very good and very concerning to the what are you doing? Oh, yeah. This oncoming car. Anyway, just gonna do something first. My shopping, as I was saying, the Chinese J-20, the latest iteration, will have installed the silicon carbide semiconductor radar systems to augment their already installed gallium nitride, which gives them an extended radar coverage and detection, almost tantamount to a comparable AWACS system. Why did the Chinese upgrade their J-20? Simple. They wanted to detect their AWACS, especially the Australian wedge-tail, at a distance, and so that they can launch not only their PL-15 long-range over-the-horizon hypersonic missiles, air-to-air missiles, but also to launch their PL-17, which has a kill distance range of 400 kilometers, which is the longest range. That missile hasn't been into service. It's still in its developmental stage, but it will be in service in time in the next few years. So these are the upgrades that are seldom mentioned by Western propagandist YouTube vloggers, and that is something that I've been noticing, which is interesting with the Australian Missile Defence System Procurement Program, which includes the land-based naval strike missile, which is called the Strike Master, which is installed on Bushmaster upgrades for the Australian military, and the Army land-based NSMs, which should augment the HIMARS precision strike missiles, the PSRM, which are in the process of being rolled out onto the Australian land-based army. The naval version is the NSM, which is currently slowly being rolled out. Not yet in service because we still haven't had our first Hunter class frigate and all the Type 26 frigates. We're still in the process of deciding whether to purchase or procure the AUKUS SSNs. Even the Astute, the British, the Royal Navy Astute SSN is expected to be in service or in the Australian AUKUS service under the Pillar 1 agreement by 2027 at the Western rotation base, naval base at Stirling, which is an interesting proposition, which is still part of that $368 billion upgrade, naval upgrade for the SSNs. Otherwise, we could consider the Taiga Japanese SSKs, the air, AIP SSKs, diesel submarines for our conventional naval use. In particular, we use it with the SAS and the Australian clearance divers and their spec ops in any given area of deployments, wherever they're called upon. And the Australian colony classes can't reach those areas unless they are able to refuel at a friendly port. But apart from that, we don't have that ability to have that much reach for our submariners and our spec ops deployments for special needs, as it were, or special purpose. Just recently, the Chinese military on their YouTube open source intelligence platform have actually announced the upgrade to their J20 iterations for the foreseeable batch procurement of their latest J20, as well as upgrading their engines from the AL41 to their indigenous versions of the WS15 engines. The Chinese are, more importantly, are enhancing their radar systems with the silicon carbide semiconductor augmentations, which is particularly advantageous for the Chinese in terms of electronic warfare capabilities. New Zealand, Australia, New Zealand, with their AUKUS affiliations with the Americans, as well as the British regional military defense systems, they work together with the Japanese within the Quad. The Japanese, in particular, are interesting with their latest naval capabilities. The Japanese have a number of warships which are impressing even the Chinese. The latest iterations of their destroyers include the Maya, the Atago, as well as the latest ASEF, which is a 17,000 ton destroyer, or rather a cruiser, which should be in service or commissioned by 2027. This ASEF destroyer, which is a super destroyer, or might as well call it a cruiser, will include universal vertical launching systems, or the UVLS, of 128 launching cells, which is matches and surpasses the Chinese Type 055 destroyer, which is the currently in service the most powerful destroyer in the world, which is only matched by the USS Zumwalt DDGs. But America only has 2 Zumwalt DDGs, whereas China has 8 operational Type 055 destroyers, which is pretty lethal already for the Chinese Navy. Now, recently, just the last month, the 2 Chinese carrier strike groups, the Type 001 Liaoning and the Type 002 Shandong carrier strike groups, had actually just done a recent joint operation exercise east of the Japan Sea and east of Japan. Recently, the Japanese had launched their, I think, Atago class destroyer Takanami. Excuse me if I mispronounced that. The Takanami was deployed, as well as 4 F-15 fighter jets from the Japanese military defense force. They went to surveil and conduct ISR monitoring and shadowing the two Chinese carrier strike groups within the Pacific Ocean, but east of Japan. Now, what was more importantly was the electronic warfare capabilities of the Chinese, which was not mentioned by the Japanese and Quad member nations. The Chinese had asserted their soft strike capabilities. Soft strike in the sense of what they did to the Japanese was tantamount to a lethal electronic warfare strike that crippled and blindsided the F-15 fighter jets, the avionics, the AIM-120 missile air-to-air missile systems were completely jammed. Now the Chinese, with their soft strike, overwhelmed and saturated the Japanese warship as well as the Japanese Air Force, who were completely blinded. And this is an indication of the superiority of the Chinese gallium nitrate semiconductor radar systems, and more importantly, their jamming capabilities with the Chinese electronic warfare systems. Now, as I was alluding to earlier, the J-20 are now being upgraded with silicon carbide systems, which will also augment their gallium nitrate, which radar system, which can only be matched by the Australian E7 Wedgetail, which can detect the Chinese J-20. However, the J-20 now have the silicon carbide, which gives them an extended range for their radars, and in doing so, it gives them that tipping edge for them to launch their PL-17s to destroy the E7 Wedgetail in the event of a air-to-air combat within a theatre of operations within Taiwan, or within the 9-dash line or the 10-dash line, within a foreseeable combat, whether it's phone ops or more than likely an electronic soft strike by the Chinese. They will do that consistently and repeatedly and throughout the 9-dash line territorial waters. Now, the Chinese will assert their area denial access, or the A2-AD within the 9-dash line by using soft strike. Already the Australian Poseidon, P-8 Poseidon, was subjected to Chinese electronic warfare jamming and degradation of the avionics systems and the Australian radar systems. This also occurred with the Australian naval ships and the divers who were subjected to electronic warfare soft strikes by the Chinese military. That included the injuries through a sonar electronic jamming system that injured Australian divers from the Australian Navy. Now, that was brought to the attention of the Australian government. The Australian government responded to the Chinese. The Chinese will just simply deny that they did that, and more recently the Japanese have just been subjected to the Chinese overwhelmingly electronic warfare superiority. Now, that is the soft strike by the Chinese. Now, everyone talks about the hard power by the Americans with their military fighter jets allegedly superior F-35s, F-15s, within AUKUS, and within the F-22s within Quad. The Japanese have a significant military presence within their own region, within the first island chain. The second island chain, the Chinese, extends over to Guam. The third island chain extends to Samoa and Hawaii. Samoa represents the third island chain. The island chains for the Chinese, three island chains, boundaries to contain the Chinese sphere of military sphere of influence. So presently, the Chinese have superior semiconductors made from gallium nitrate, and more importantly, the latest silicon carbide. Whether it's myth, made up, or it's true, the point is this: the Chinese and their soft strike will occur, in particular in FONOPS within the South China Sea, within the 9-dash line, or as the Chinese now call it, the 10-dash lines, through the first island chains. So soft strike, that is the modus of operandi by the Chinese. The British Navy's Operation High Mast has been travelling through the Pacific, coming to Australia, New Zealand, and also the South China Sea. They have been subjected to the Chinese soft strike, and the Chinese have been demonstrating their capabilities with the recent Liaoning EW soft strike against the Japanese, demonstrating overwhelming electronic warfare superiority by the Chinese. That's all I want to have a bit of a talk about, and we'll talk about it later. Talk about other things later, some later upgrades with the Chinese and AUKUS military capabilities, and the name of the game is much more complex than a lot of these people are saying, especially the propagandists. But that's my little 2 cents worth for this for July 2025, July 6, 2025. Ja, manuia tato, ja, so far.